new Prime Minister is orderly, with minimum disruption, and that there is a good, solid platform to build on. We've done that over the 2 years, and I shall faithfully do that in the remaining weeks, every day ensuring that we improve on the situation and that I can genuinely say hand on heart that I've passed on a better country than one I inherited, and that I can make sure that my successor has every prospect of success, which is what I want more than anything. Thank you very much, Andy. I've got Paul McNamara from Channel 4, please.
Morning, Prime Minister. You keep on coming back to the line that you've increased defence spending by the largest amounts since the Cold War, and nobody's disputing that. But what former military chiefs and experts are arguing is that even with that, and even with the extra money, given the threats that the UK faces right now, it is still not enough, including General Sir Richard Barrons, who you entrusted to write last year's defence review. Are you willfully ignoring their advice, or do you just think these people with decades of war-fighting experience are wrong?
Well, I'm glad you began that by saying everyone acknowledges the huge increase we've put into defence spending, because it is important that we start there. The highest sustained increase since the Cold War, or since the 1980s, depending which way you want to measure it, that's nearly half a century. The biggest sustained increase for nearly half a century in the history of this country. That is a huge step forward, £270 billion over the spending review. With today's defence investment plan, that means that over the next 4 years, that will take it to a record 300 or nearly £300 billion. That is a huge amount of money. What we've done through the strategic review and the defence investment plan, which, as I say, has been sharpened even in recent weeks. And I'm very grateful to the Defence Secretary for all the work that he has done, the Chief of Defence Staff as well, alongside the Chancellor, to sharpen it, to make sure that, you know, in a fast-moving world, it really is going to deliver the capability that we need for the future. And that is what it does. That is my judgment call on this. Of course, I hugely respect those with great experience and great service. There will always be those that say, whatever the sum is, frankly, it's not enough. Whatever sum I'd announced this morning, there would always be somebody who says that's not enough. I have a job as Prime Minister to get this judgment right in terms of the amount of money that is spent, the capability that we need as a country, and that is why I'm 100% confident in the plan that we've put forward this morning. I'm very pleased at the work that's been done in recent weeks to sharpen and strengthen this plan so it can be presented in the way it's been presented today. Thank you very much, Paul. I've got Tom Sables from BFBS, Forces News.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Tom Sables, BFBS Forces News. As a Labour Prime Minister, you pledged £9 billion to upgrade 90% of military housing. Given that now there's reports that that money is being moved to fund the DIP, what's your message to military personnel living in substandard accommodation after your promises?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that. Firstly, let me start by saying we have put a lot of money into military housing, and I'm proud that we have. It was very important that we did that. Alongside that, we have awarded 3 pay awards now, pay increases of above inflation. And again, I'm really proud that was the right thing to do, because it affects the morale, retention rates, and reflects the service that is given to this country by those that serve us. We will continue to do that. Of course, I have to balance that against investment in the military capability that we need. But in relation to the money we have put into the housing, in relation to the pay awards we have already made, I'm proud that we made those. We made it to reflect what we know our armed services give to our country, of which we are very thankful and very proud. Thank you very much, Tom. I've got Sophie Huskerton from the Daily Mirror. Sophie.
Hi, thank you, Prime Minister. So Andy Burnham has said he wants to stop departments spending too much time battling the Treasury instead of getting things done. The delay of your defence investment plan seemed like there was a bit of battling between the MOD and the Treasury. So what's your advice on Andy Burnham on this?
Well, let me just say a word or two about the Treasury and about this Chancellor, if I may. Because we inherited an economy that was broken. And there's no doubting that. Nobody argues about that. And this Chancellor put it on a stable footing. And you saw that in the figures earlier this year that were set out in the spring statement. They spoke for themselves. And you can see it every day, because what I see and what the Chancellor sees are the numbers that give us an indication of the impact of the conflict in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz on our country. The impact on our country, and less than it otherwise would have been, because our economy is stabilised. Look at the inflation rates across Europe. Look at our growth projected rates across Europe. So that is the work that this Chancellor has done, and I'm very proud of Rachel in relation to that. To have stabilised our economy in 2 short years after what we picked up means that I can depart the stage, because it's the end of my journey, it's not the end of anybody else's, but I depart knowing that we have left this country in a better state than we got it. Are there wranglings between departments and the Treasury? Yes, of course there are. There always have been, always will be, because at the end of the day, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor have to look at the overall judgments for the government, the overall affordability, and prioritise between different things. Departments, of course, will put forward, in good faith, the commitments they think we should make. I understand that. But what we have to do is judge them against what we can afford, what the priorities of the country are. That's what we've done for 2 years. I'm really pleased that as a result of those judgments, our economy is stable and in a better place. That impacts people across the country hugely. That our public services are improving, particularly our NHS. And we're able today to announce this further investment in our defence and security. And I'm very proud of the fact, Rachel referenced that she went to Kyiv yesterday, that the standing of the United Kingdom in the world is in a much better place than it was 2 years ago. And I don't think anybody would really dispute that on defence and security and many other issues. Thank you very much. I've got Dan Martin from the Daily Telegraph. Dan.
Thank you, Prime Minister. How can you present this defence investment plan at the NATO summit when you're Prime Minister in name only? And also, Donald Trump wants you to meet this 5% target of GDP by 2035. Do you think that's possible for the UK? And what will you tell him at the summit?
I spoke to President Trump just 2 weeks ago when we were at the G7 together at great length about a number of issues, particularly the conflicts in Ukraine and the conflicts in Iran. And actually a very strong statement on Ukraine was put out from the G7, as you will have seen, showing the unity of that group of countries. This is additional investment today on top of the highest sustained increase since the Cold War, since the 1980s. I talked through Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, talked him through this yesterday, talked to him very frequently on the phone as well as in person, have a very good relationship with him. He is very welcoming of what we are doing here today because he knows what a contribution it makes to NATO. He also appreciates, and we must never lose sight of this, of the huge contribution that the UK makes to NATO, not just as a leading advocate and member of NATO, but of course we confirm our nuclear capability to NATO, which is an incredible capability, which keeps us and the whole of NATO countries safe. And I'm very proud that we do that. So I'm proud of that work. I'm glad on the 5% commitment by 2035. Today takes us to 4.2% towards that target. I will be very pleased to report that back to colleagues at NATO next week. They will be very pleased to discuss this with us. And I'm proud of the record I stand on in relation to defence and security as I go into that summit. Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues.